Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're tackling a topic that often leaves men scratching. Why do women seem to hold on to men, even when they say they're not interested? It might seem puzzling, but there's a deeper psychology at play here. Women can't forget the man they couldn't quite figure out, the one who stayed calm, mysterious, and didn't chase after her. This video explores why emotional control, presence, and mystery make a man unforgettable, even when a woman might walk away, block you, or date someone else. It's not about games. It's about self-respect and creating a powerful dynamic where your value is recognized, not manipulated. So stick with me until the end, because we'll dive deep into why women can't help but keep thinking about the man who doesn't play by the usual rules. Let's get into it. 1. Emotional control. A woman often subtly tests a man's emotional strength, coldness, pulling away, and even flirting with others. She's not doing it out of malice. Instead, it's a way for her to see how you handle uncertainty and manage your emotions when she doesn't give you the validation you seek. The key to passing this test is to remain unaffected. If you react, if you chase after her approval or try to win her back, you'll only push her further away. What she needs isn't a man who crumbles when faced with challenge. Someone who stands firm in the face of it. Desire is born from strength, not emotional neediness. When you show her that your worth isn't tied to her reactions, she can't help but be drawn to you. Silence and calmness become your most powerful tools in this dance. Words may be tempting, but silence speaks volumes. You project self-assurance when you resist the urge to fill the space with desperate words or emotional outbursts. It's not about being emotionless. It's about choosing when and where to invest your emotions. You show her you don't need her to validate you. You are already whole. This control doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means disciplining yourself so as not to bleed emotionally all over her. Women often crave a man who can manage his emotions and not let everything affect him. It's about balance. When you maintain control over your emotional state, you create an aura of mystery and stability. That's what keeps her intrigued. Discipline, routine, and mystery are the foundation of attraction. A man who stays grounded, maintains consistency, doesn't let emotions dictate his actions, and commands respect. By not overexposing yourself emotionally, you leave her wanting more. She starts to wonder what lies beneath the surface, what drives and keeps you focused. That intrigue fuels desire. It's easy to be swept up in emotions, to fall victim to the roller coaster of highs and lows. But the true strength lies in maintaining calmness through it all. When you do that, you don't just keep her interested, you earn her respect. And that's where true attraction begins. 2. Unavailable energy. There's something magnetic about a man who isn't always available. It's not about being cold or distant, but about being grounded in his life and purpose. When a man is centered on who he is and what he does, he naturally becomes less accessible. He has a whole life outside her, creating a subtle but powerful allure. Women are drawn to men who aren't just waiting around to respond to their every message. Earning his attention and being patient for a reply creates a certain intrigue. It stirs her curiosity and makes her want to know more. The unpredictability of his availability, the times when she's not the center of his focus, makes her emotionally invested in the dynamic. Most men make the mistake of dropping everything to be available whenever a woman calls. They think being constantly present will show they care, but it diminishes their value. By making themselves too accessible, they give away their power. They become predictable and manageable, and in doing so they reduce the emotional investment that might otherwise grow. When a man doesn't immediately react to her behavior, whether taking time to text back or canceling plans, it creates a sense of mystery. She wonders what he's doing, where his mind is, and what he's thinking. His non-reactivity doesn't frustrate her, it intrigues her. It pulls her deeper into the interaction because now she must work harder for his attention. The chase becomes a dance, a dynamic in which she's not entirely in control. And it's in this uncertainty, this emotional space, where she isn't sure how much she matters at that moment, that her investment begins to grow. When a woman is in complete control, there's no challenge, there's no excitement. But when she has to step back and wait, when she has to earn the next piece of his attention, her feelings become more profound, more sincere. The unpredictable energy that doesn't immediately bend to her will draw her in, and in this space of emotional complexity, she'll find herself wanting more than just a man who is always there. She'll like the man who is slightly out of reach. 3. Masculine mystery. In the early stages of any relationship, there's an instinct to reveal who you are, to share stories, open up and be transparent. But many men don't realize that oversharing too soon can dilute attraction rather than build it. There's a delicate balance between being open and leaving something to the imagination. The space between what's said and what's unsaid holds her attention. When a man is predictable, when every move is mapped out, it leaves little room for curiosity. But when a man is elusive, when his actions don't always match his words, when there's an element of mystery, he becomes a puzzle she wants to solve. Silence becomes a tool of attraction. Not silence in the sense of avoiding conversation, but silence that allows her to fill in the gaps. Silence allows her mind to wander, and her imagination to run wild. It engages a deeper part of her that craves the unknown. The unpredictability of his actions and the way he doesn't reveal everything at once sparks something in her. She begins to chase answers to questions she doesn't know how to ask. What's he thinking? What's he feeling? Why didn't he say more? The more she wonders, the more she seeks to find out. And in this case she chases him, to uncover the answers and understand the man behind the mystery. Being unpredictable isn't about playing games. It's about showing up with presence, but holding back just enough to keep her intrigued. It's about giving her glimpses into your world without simultaneously handing her the whole picture. That mystery, the space between what she knows and what she doesn't, creates a magnetic pull. Attraction thrives on this uncertainty. When a woman is left to wonder about you and experience moments of tension and anticipation, it awakens a desire that can't be easily extinguished. A saying fits perfectly here. A man who's always predictable is a man who becomes easy to forget. But when a man knows when to pull back and when to remain a little bit of an enigma, he becomes unforgettable. 4. Walking away first. She's used to the chase. For most women, the cycle of rejection and pursuit feels predictable, almost natural. When a relationship shows signs of fading or things get tense, the instinct is to pull away just enough to see if he'll follow. But when the roles shift and a man walks away first, calmly, without anger, without drama, it disrupts everything she thought she knew. It's not just a reaction to her behavior, it's a decision, and that decision shakes her in a way few things do. Walking away is not a weakness, it's power. It's the quiet strength of someone who understands their worth and refuses to participate in a relationship that no longer nurtures or respects that worth. Men often stay too long, enduring disrespect in the hopes that things will improve. They think they're being patient or noble by sticking around, but they don't realize that walking away early preserves their value in ways staying never can. When a man walks away from a situation that isn't right, he leaves an imprint. That absence doesn't fade quickly. She replays it over and over in her mind. It's a quiet haunting, not because he's gone, but because he didn't need her to return. He left, stepped away with his self-respect intact, and stood firm in his sense of worth. The decision forces her to question her actions and sense of control. She won't admit it immediately, but deep down she'll realize that what she thought was indifference was in fact strength. Silence doesn't beg, it doesn't chase. It stands firm and unmoved, and the power shifts in that stillness. It's a clear message. I know my worth and won't settle for less than respect. That message doesn't need to be loud. It's felt in the absence. It lingers in the air long after he's gone, leaving her with the uncomfortable realization that what's gone cannot be replaced. The absence of someone who knew when to walk away is more lasting than the presence of someone who stayed too long. And in that space, she starts to understand the true meaning of respect. 5. She remembers the standard. Time has a way of softening memories. Faces blur, names fade, and moments slip into the past. But there's one thing a woman will never forget: the standard you set. She may not always remember how you looked or what you said, but she will remember how you made her feel and what you demanded of her. In a world where so many men are willing to settle for disrespect, lack of boundaries, and emotional immaturity, a man who stands firm in his values becomes a rare benchmark. Most men accept less than they deserve in relationships. They tolerate behavior that undermines their worth, making excuses for actions that should never be excused. But the man who doesn't settle is unforgettable. The man who demands emotional maturity, peace, and respect doesn't just show his worth, he creates a standard that others can't measure up to. A woman may not always appreciate you for setting that bar while you're in her life. She may resist the push to rise above her old habits or expectations, but deep down, she knows what you offered was something real and better. You didn't just meet her halfway, you raised the bar for what she could expect from herself and others. And while it may have seemed demanding at the moment, that challenge is what makes you stand out. The man who holds himself and others to a higher standard doesn't fade into the past. Even if she doesn't recognize it immediately or fully appreciate it at the time, the impact is lasting. Moving forward, she'll measure every other relationship against the one she had with you, and no matter how far she goes, there's a quiet awareness that the standard you set is one she'll never forget. It may be subtle, but it's there. She remembers the man who forced her to rise to the best version of herself, and in doing so, she remembers you. 6. Her ego can't accept losing you. It's rarely love that keeps her stuck, the ache of her bruised ego. She's been in control for so long, or at least she thought she was. The dynamic was set, she led the dance and you followed, but she's thrown off balance when things unravel, when the silence sets in, or you simply stop chasing. The script she wrote, where she's always in control, is suddenly flipped on its head, and that shift is far more unsettling than she's willing to admit. Most men unknowingly feed a woman's ego by chasing, by constantly reassuring her that she is wanted, that she is the prize. This creates a false sense of power, a quiet validation that she is always in charge of how things go. But when you stop, when you pull away without explanation, it destabilizes her sense of control. She second-guesses herself, asking questions she can't answer. Why didn't he chase me? Why didn't he fight for this? Did I lose him? The more time passes, the more she feels a creeping unease. It's not just the loss of you that unsettles her, it's the loss of the control she's so used to holding. Her ego craves closure. It needs the reassurance that she is still the one steering the narrative, and when you refuse to offer that validation, she's left in a state of confusion. It's not love she's chasing, it's the certainty that she still has power over the situation. Your silence reflects something she can't quite grasp, and that uncertainty eats away at her. She wonders why you didn't pursue her or fall into everyone else's role in her life. Strangely, your absence becomes more of a presence than your actual presence ever was. The ego doesn't like to be left without answers, and when it doesn't get them, it keeps her tethered to the situation, questioning, searching for something she can't define. There's an old saying, the strongest people are the ones who don't need closure. When you withhold that from her, you force her to confront the void where the answers should be. This isn't about love, it's about recognition. When you don't feed her need for closure, validation, or the reassurance of her control, you leave her stuck in a state of emotional limbo. She may act like she's moved on, may even fill the void with someone new, or a flurry of distractions, but deep down she's still grappling with the questions that have no answers. She still wonders why you didn't chase her, why you didn't come back. She can't help but analyze and replay the situation in her mind, looking for any clue, any sign that would give her the closure she desperately seeks. And that's where the real power lies. Silence isn't just about withdrawing, it's about taking back your power and denying her the validation she needs. It forces her to face the vulnerability of losing control, and in that space, she's left questioning her narrative, her sense of self, and her identity, built around her ability to control the outcome. The ego may never fully recover from the lack of answers, and that's a wound that can never be fully healed by anyone but herself. 7. Silence makes her obsess. A particular kind of silence can be more potent than any words. It's not the silence that comes from anger or frustration. It's the complete and total absence of reaction. No drama, outbursts, or need for explanations. Just simply gone. And when you choose this silence, not out of haste or impulsiveness, but with strength and dignity, something shifts inside her. That silence doesn't just leave a gap in the conversation, it creates a vacuum in her mind, a psychological void that she can't ignore. At first, the absence is unsettling for her. There's confusion, the kind that makes her wonder what happened and why you suddenly disappeared. But as the days pass, that confusion evolves into something more persistent. She finds herself questioning, is he over me? Did he find someone else? These questions circle her thoughts like a quiet storm, and with each unanswered thought, the silence grows louder. It's no longer just about the end of the relationship, it's about you being able to walk away without needing anything from her. No closure, no final word, just space where you once were. This kind of silence doesn't allow her the comfort of closure. Instead, it makes her seek clues to fill the void you left behind. She checks your social media profiles, replays the memories, and looks for any trace of you that might offer some kind of explanation. She becomes consumed with trying to understand what went wrong, why you disappeared, and what it means about her. She looks for signs of your life moving on, even if she doesn't want to admit it. It's not curiosity, it's obsession. You've left her with no answers, and that absence drives her to fill the silence with her questions. She doesn't realize that by choosing to disappear with grace and strength, you've communicated something far more profound than words could express. Your absence has become a statement. You didn't need her, which makes her question everything. The power of your silence lies in the fact that you chose to move forward without reaching back. You've shown her that you can exist without her, that you can stand alone without needing her to validate you or even acknowledge your worth. In her mind, this becomes the most significant gap to fill. She might tell herself that you'll reach out eventually, or that this is just a temporary phase, but deep down she knows the truth. You're gone, and you're not coming back. It's not because you stopped caring, it's because you realize that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in a relationship is to disappear completely. Sometimes your absence forces her to confront what she's lost finally. It forces her to reflect on what she once had, and ultimately it makes her question her own choices. There's an old saying, sometimes silence is the loudest scream. And in this case, your silence isn't a cry for attention, it's a declaration of self-respect. It's a message that you are worthy of more than the drama, the confusion, or the uncertainty. By stepping away and refusing to engage, you leave her alone to reckon with her feelings, actions, and the void you've created in her life. And that, more than any conversation or explanation, speaks volume. Conclusion. The key takeaway is this: women don't forget the man they couldn't figure out, the one who maintained emotional control, kept his mystery, and walked away with dignity. When you refuse to chase validation and instead stand firm in your strength, you leave a lasting impression that haunts her long after she walks away. The truth is that women are emotional and psychological creatures. What they can't fully understand or control, they continue to chase. You become unforgettable when you show up with emotional discipline, availability on your terms, and a sense of mystery. Your absence, your silence, and the boundaries you set make her question everything. She'll remember you as the man who made her rise to meet higher standards, the one she couldn't easily manipulate or control. So, if you want to leave a lasting impact, stop over-explaining, stop chasing, and instead focus on yourself. Become a man who is centered, composed, and mysterious. Become the man who walks away when necessary, holds himself to the highest standards, and watches as she obsesses over what she couldn't fully grasp. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you experienced this dynamic? How did you handle a situation where silence and emotional control made all the difference? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can keep learning more about mastering relationships, self-respect, and the power of emotional control. See you in the next one.